stakeholders. I would like to begin with Mr. Stephen Masiga. A very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir.
How are we doing?
Yeah, very well, excellent.
What is the state of affairs, first and foremost, with the Inzuyamasaba?
Inzuyamasaba, we recently had our cultural leader, whom we call the Umuguga 3, gazetted by government. Of course, that is in line with the enabling provision, especially the Constitution, particularly Article 246, that allows operations of cultural institutions.
That's right.
The Minister of Gender is mandated by virtue of Sections 6 to gazette such a person once he has been agreed on by the committee. So that's the current status. We have a cultural leader. We call them Umuguga. Umuguga is in
can you say that slowly so that those that might not capture the pronunciation and Umuguga?
So we have, it's called Umukuka.
Umukuka.
That is for Bududa, Manafa, Namisindwa, and parts of Mbale. Now, but because Bugisu is a kind of cosmopolitan, you have the Budadi element. So now when we cross, the pronunciation changes to Umuguga.
What?
But it's the asylum.
Of course, I understand. But now what you must explain to us is why that change of pronunciation.
Why the change of pronunciation?
Is it down to dialect?
Yeah, it's dialect, it's intonation, how you syntax or whatever it is, but it's the same message.
Okay.
Yes, it's like Muchori saying Ojai or what? Jakayo. Then the other will say Zakayo. It's the same message. Yes.
That's interesting.
Thank you, sir.
All right. We would like to also welcome Peter Ojede, Executive Director at the Uganda National Cultural Center. Many thanks for making time.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers, and thank you very much for hosting us this morning.
Yes, you've just had something very interesting here from Stephen Masiga, speaking about the dynamics of pronunciation and naming Umkuga, Umkuha. These are the things that make culture a beauty.
Yes.
Something that ought to be built upon to strengthen the greater a society that we are looking for. And in the interests of the progression of democracy, cultural institutions are being widely seen as agents of transformation and not points of polarization. But it's difficult, especially when you see that sometimes the cultural leaders want to be more political than cultural at a time when they should not be seeking that kind of effort on their own. Before we delve into what institutions can actually do, what is the latest development at the Uganda National Cultural Center? What are you pushing?
Interesting. Thank you very much. I wanted to, before even talking about what we're pushing, to just make a comment on the topic that you've been having, especially the pronunciations and so forth. I just want to let you know that these pronunciations will continue to be different.
Of course.
And each and every time it will change. It will never be the same. It is very dynamic. And that's the beauty about culture, because that's why, you know, one group will call it this way, another group will call it this way, but they will all understand each other. And that's where the diversity comes, and then the cultural unity in diversity comes. You're united in making sure everybody understands the thing, but you call them differently. Now, coming to Uganda National Cultural Center, I just wanted to let you know that and I will start with that one. We are planning to have our UNCC Annual Art and Culture Festival, which will be in November, on Friday the 3rd and the 4th. That's when we shall be having it, and that's the main thing that we're going to have. So we expect a cultural festival, and we're inviting all those cultural institutions and all the culture lovers like yourselves and everybody to join us as we celebrate the rich cultures of this country on the 3rd and 4th. That is a Friday and Saturday of November. So that's the thing that, but again, if you came to the National Theatre now, there are a lot of activities that are running. I hosted a Morimor last Friday.
Ah, wow.
Yeah, the Morimor was in the National Theatre.
Yeah, for the benefit of those that may not be initiated, Morimor is for the Teso.
The Teso.
Region.
The Teso, yeah.
Okay.
So she was there and...
Shall come.
Yeah, you should also come. Yes, you should. And it was a beautiful, you know, it was good to host him. And then secondly, one of the things that happened was one of the subjects of the Morimor, who happens to be a staff of the Uganda National Cultural Center, was making 36 years in the National Theatre.
Wow.
So we celebrated him, and the Morimor was there to be part of the celebration. It was a beautiful, and he decided to come up with a play himself, the staff, and then the Morimor was there to witness it. So that's, and then as we run through every single day, we have shows. We have different shows. We have films. We have theater. We have, you know, there's a host of their dances.
That's
for
right.
people who like to learn how to dance. We have a dance studio and a dance floor where people learn. We have them even for film. We have film clubs running on.
That's right.
So really, we're trying to do everything to make sure that the youth and the young people are able to learn. And also, after learning, then they showcase whatever they've learned for people to be able to. Interestingly, we want to say that art and culture is becoming now a product that can be sold. So it's no longer where we used to use it for just entertainment. But we now use what we call edutainment, education, entertainment, and also they should be able to earn from it. So that it's a way of living now, so that you earn from it. So we're doing that. We're doing quite a lot. We recently had a training for promoters of art. We have had issues, you know, people saying they're not organized and so forth.
Okay.
And they were able to form an association, Promoters Association. And at the same time after that, then we had also another training session, which we had musicians. And these musicians were also able to form their association. So the federation, actually, not association. So they federated and they're now together.
Okay.
That's just to bring in the aspect of unity in diversity. They're different, but they want to work together. And as government, we're really excited about that because we believe that is the way to go, because you know, if you're too disunited, then definitely supporting you becomes difficult.
That's very difficult.
And then we are in different directions.
I'm glad you take that slant of fostering unity in the space of culture. I'd like to return to Mr. Stephen Masiga, but of course I will be returning to you, and you should be preparing to answer questions regarding the fact that developments indicate 60 million Uganda shillings will be paid monthly to support activities of cultural institutions. But Stephen Masiga, Mr. Ojede talks about unity in diversity.
Yes.
In 2010,
Yes.
the Inzuyamasaba crisis came to the fore, and the formation of that particular, or rather the formalization of this institution by government. But then it created a new fight for power, where some thought it should have been another person taking on this particular throne and not the one who did. So much so that in the event of the death of, is it? No. A bit of something that happened. I would like to understand what is the point of, you know, of tension within the Bugisu, because culture must be able to unite all without question. Yeah, we see where a king speaks and no one says anything. But when we hear developments where the king can be criticized, questioned, a cultural leader is told, no, you're not the one. What caused the tensions in Masaba land?
Thank you very much, Mr. Sigenyi and Ndugu Ojede. Allow me to welcome you on behalf of Inzuyamasaba, on behalf of Bugisu. Notice that's our procedure. I must welcome you.
Yeah, sure.
Because Masaba out there now listening. So I also want to take this opportunity to convey greetings, because it's a tradition that wherever you come from, you have to bring greetings. So I bring here to NTV greetings from Masaba land, particularly from our cultural leader.
Let's celebrate Masaba land. Speak in Lu Masaba.
Yes. Netsirano narere chimilembe che cultural leader wefe ni ba Masaba bo sitsan kubanga hwachirere hwano NTV mwenayo ba Masaba from across. You know, when you talk about Masaba, you are meaning those in Bugisu and across in
Kenya. Yeah.
So mwenayo mwesitsana umuguga 3 umugu awe lukosi Jude Mike Mudoma ni cultural leader wefe we ba Masaba. He rides the way basoga say busoga bulaire zitu bulaire
obusoga bulaire.
So the Bugisu wa umuguga aliyo is seated is on the rain. So back to your question. You see an element of unity. There was disunity. Elders around 29 also 29 to 8 wanted an element of unity. So how do you do this? They created Inzu. Inzu is a word, and is a Bugisu word for a house that will bring on board many clans, many districts in Masaba land. So these elders created what we call the Inzuyamasaba, which is a house, a home, or a palace, whatever, of all of Masaba, from Uganda itself and Kenya itself, and other parts like Riandongo. So when you talk about Masaba, you mean those in the 7 districts of Duda, Manafa, Namisindwa, Mbale City, Mbale District, Sironko, Brambuli, and Bududa. I hope I mentioned that. You
spoke about Kriandongo. How do the Bamasaba go?
We have Bamasaba and Kriandongo who fled the landslides on advice of government. So they make a substantial component of Bamasaba and Kriandongo district. And soon we shall have a member of parliament from Bududa but representing Kriandongo. That one I want you to take note of that.
We've noted.
Yes. So that was 29 then. So the elders, who included the prominent men and women of Masaba land, sat down to create something that will unite the Bamasaba. That explains the import of the word Inzu. Now, we had the first Umuguga 1. But even if you track, Mr. Tigenya, I want you to track. In 1964, under the very Ugandan constitution, Milton Obote then asked Ugandans if they wanted to have some level of unity. Because we had traditional and these are cultural. Traditional institutions. These are cultural institutions. We are not traditional. Yes. That's why if you are talking of conflict, we are not traditional. We are cultural institutions. So in 1964, the president then, or the prime minister, asked people who wanted to have some level of unity. The first Umuguga, or called Umuyinga, of Masaba land, was called Mungoma. He was the first one. So that one created like a precursor. This one is like, he created the model of unity. So in 2928, we had the elders sitting and they came up with the Inzu. And they elected the first Umukuka was Wilson Wamimbi, who was the LC5 chairman for Mbale, and at some point an ambassador to Canada. So the conflict now begins from there, because at that time there was no enabling law. The law wasn't there. This Article 246 we talk about is now comes in about 2 years. That's 211. The Cultural Leaders Act, you can see this is 29, 210, but the law comes in 2011. The Cultural Leaders Act 2011. That's when we had now the formalized way of running institutions that are not necessarily traditional, but cultural in nature. Yes.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting.
Yes.
But gives us a picture on the efforts to unite and not necessarily to entrench a certain aspect of. Well, okay. I think that is. So anything else that you want to add?
So from from 211. There was an enabling law now. Of course, now we have had a crisis. You have an Inzu constitution, but you have now an enabling law. Do you now suspend the local constitution or what? Because you know, in the constitutional law, they say once two laws conflict, the supreme ruins. And they say precisely in Article 2, Clause 211 with the Constitution, Uganda's Constitution. Any other law that conflicts with the Supreme Constitution is null and void. So currently, we had Mkuka 1, then there was Mkuka 2 who was elected in 2015, then the third one now we have. We had some issues because I saw you raise it in the preamble. It caused some element of disunity. There was friction here and there because this one wanted to be, the other one wanted to be. Now, all of them, the no procedure, whenever you conflict, you go to court, isn't it?
You do?
You go to court. Court referred them back to the elders. In fact, NTV should highlight this, that Bugisu Cultural Institution or Inzuyamasaba created one of the precedents, legal precedents in the law, whereby whenever cultural institution is conflict on who is the rightful cultural leader, you go to the elders.
Not courts of
Not courts. Because you have what to call in law, there's what to call procedure. This is a procedure now. Because when you read section 16, subsection 1 and 2 of the Cultural Leaders Act, the first word is that when you conflict, the elders must assist, isn't it? If you are uncomfortable with the position of the elders, you now go to, you get a representative body, a local government. For example, you can also use Uganda Cultural Leaders Council to mediate. Okay. So in Bugisu, on advice of the court, went to the elders. And the elders sat down and mediated and arrived at the rightful person. We expeditiously, as Masaba, wrote to the Minister for Gender to gazette the cultural leader in line with Section 6 of the Cultural Leaders Act. That explains, right now as I speak, the silence in Masaba land. There's no noise because we followed the legal procedure, statutory procedure.
Peace, not silence. Yes. All right, thank you very much, Stephen Masiga, for giving us that overview of the state of affairs. I'm afraid we're going to have to go for a short break, but when I return, Peter Ojede, you'll be taking us through government plans as revealed by the Prime Minister a while back, while Parliament was paying tribute to the late Emor of Taiso, Augustine Osubanelem-Cole, that cultural institutions would be given 60 million Uganda shillings monthly to enable some of their activities. Whether that has been put in effect remains to be seen. Maybe you have more knowledge of that than we, the journalists. Stay with us. We'll be right back.